This dark side of Russia during the recession will shock you. The recession in Russia has taken a dark turn, and what you're about to discover will shock you. As the economy struggles, the people of Russia are facing a reality that is far more sinister than anyone would have imagined. From poverty to crime, the effects of the recession have left a lasting mark on the country and its citizens. Prepare to be stunned by the dark side of Russia during the recession. According to government statistics released this week, Ukraine's economy entered a recession 9 months after Russia invaded the country. According to Rosstat, the National Statistical Organization, the country's output has fallen for 2 consecutive quarters. According to Rosstat, Russian economic output declined 4% between July and September compared to the same time the previous year. According to the government, wholesale, retail, shipping, and manufacturing activity decreased during the time period, but construction and agriculture increased. The drop comes on the heels of a 4.1% drop in the April to June period, which was driven by drops in trade, shipping, waste disposal, and restaurant and hotel activity. A recession is commonly defined as 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP, though in the United States, recessions are officially declared by a panel of economists who consider a variety of factors. To now, Russia has avoided the harshest economic consequences of its war in Ukraine. Despite Western sanctions and corporate flight, the rising price of oil and gas, as well as government capital controls, have kept Russia solvent and bolstered the ruble. Nonetheless, since September, when Russian President Vladimir Putin recruited soldiers for the conflict, there has been a significant economic slump. According to the Bank of Russia research, the Russian economy deteriorated substantially in September, with early symptoms of considerable deterioration developing towards the end of the month, as supply and demand both fell and inflation surged. Elvira Nabiullina, chair of the Bank of Russia, cautioned lawmakers earlier this week that the economic situation could worsen. "We really need to look at the issue with open eyes," she told Russia's lower chamber, known as the Duma. Nabiullina advised officials to be ready for anything. "Yes, the situation can worsen. We acknowledge this," she said, calling for a restructuring of the economy. According to Consensus Economics, a group that aggregates major analysts, the Russian economy will contract by 4.6% this year. The amount has been revised upward from a 10% drop expected in April. The drop in output signals Russia's second recession in 3 years. During the pandemic, the economy contracted throughout 2020. It's also the third largest in the last 2 decades, following the international financial crisis in 2009 and the pandemic. The shrinkage is half as bad as it was during the pandemic's peak, Renaissance capital economist Sofia Donets says. At the same time, it is evident that the shape of the recovery would be considerably different, and no quick recovery is in sight. According to the Statistics Department, Russia's GDP increased by 3.5% in the first quarter of 2022, which began before the invasion. Higher interest rates have also had a negative impact on Russia's economy. A significant drop in the ruble in the early weeks of Ukraine's invasion compelled the central bank to hike borrowing prices to 20%. However, the ruble's gain since then, combined with indicators that inflationary pressures are easing, allowed the central bank to cut rates to 7.5%. Inflation, which hit 12.9% in October, is now forecast to fall to 5 to 7% in 2023, before reverting to the central bank's 4% target in 2024. On December 14th, Rosstat will publish a more complete account of Russia's third quarter GDP. Since the start of the war, expectations have been unjustifiably high. The first military achievements, like the annexation of Crimea in 2014, sparked a wave of euphoria among the Russian people. This elation fueled more government assistance and consumer optimism. Consumer expectations plummeted during the summer as the war effort dragged on. The average Russian's opinion of their current economic status is falling, but it's now greater than it was in the spring. The public perceives the economy considerably more realistically now than it did in the springtime of 2022. The awakening to war realities is delayed and far from complete, and rising economic dissatisfaction will exacerbate negative opinions against Putin's leadership and the conflict. So leave your thoughts with us in the comments below, and thank you for watching. We're looking forward to catching up with you in the next video.